Guys, today's sneaker has been a long time coming. In fact, the original plan was for these to drop last year in like December. Almost 6 months later and we finally have them. So let's see if all of that build up and hype is worth it. So here we have the box. This is the same box that you'll find on the Air Maxes and the trainers. They haven't changed anything up, so all over cardboard. Of course, you have the new Cactus Corporation branding, the new logo on the front there. But let's pull these things open because I'm eager to get into this one. Guys, let's take a look at the Travis Scott Air Max 1. Also included in the box is an extra pair of laces. This is kind of like a dark mocha brown to replace, I guess, the red ones that are on here. I kind of like the look of the red ones, but either way, here they are. We finally got them. This is the Travis Scott Air Max 1. Kind of feels like Travis Scott week over here on the channel because we literally just took a look at the trainers. I really liked those, so let's figure out whether we're gonna like these too. So let me give you guys a few release details before we properly dive into the sneaker. These dropped on May the 27th, and of course that was alongside the two other colorways of the Air Max model and of course the trainers and then his whole clothing capsule. Now these retail at £145 here in the UK and $150 if you're out in the US. I really think that this whole new collection, this whole new capsule is really different to what we're used to seeing from Travis Scott. I mean, for starters, it's got new branding on all of the sneakers. Like, there's technically no mention of Travis Scott's name on the Nike official website or any of the sneakers themselves or the boxes or anything like that. And I thought this may be a new kind of branch off brand for Nike to release Travis Scott sneakers under, kind of like how Yeezy and Adidas does it, where they're kind of like two separate entities. Now, it would be interesting to hear your opinion on that. Do you think that's going to be the future of the Travis Scott releases and collaborations? But yeah, let me know down in the comments. By the way, the materials are also super interesting, which is something we talked about on the trainers. Those were really different materials. Well, that definitely exists on these Air Maxes. Base material that you find on the toe box, which kind of moves underneath and around the sock liner, well, that's this really nice light golden yellowish color. It's all over a quite nicely padded mesh material. It's overlaid with some really nice feeling nubuck material. It starts with a really nice dark mocha color that you find around the toe box, obviously acting as the mud guard. And there's these pieces which are a nice tan color. You also find that for the tongue. And then to top it all off, on the medial side of the sneaker, you've got some more of that really nice light golden color. The nubuck does feel really nice and soft, so I'm glad that they added some good feeling materials to this sneaker. Something I found really interesting is that the design of this sneaker is actually inspired by the ACG pocket knife. You could definitely see that in the design with the wavy little pattern for the nubuck material, and obviously this piece of material kind of coming through and then acting as the eye stays on both parts of the sneaker. I mean, if anybody is super nostalgic about the ACG pocket knife, well, this might be the closest thing we get to a retro of that sneaker model. Now let's talk about the branding on this sneaker, because obviously it doesn't say Travis Scott, but there is heaps of other brandings and logos. So obviously let's start with, I guess, the most signature part, which is the reverse swoosh, which you find on the lateral side of the shoe. On the trainers, it was on the medial side, so it's nice to see it out in the forefront on the side of the sneaker. I've got this little red triangular patch on the back of the shoe. Now on the left pair it has the Nike branding, and on the right pair it has the Cactus Jack text, which is kind of a nice little callback to the Travis Scott fragments, something similar that they did on the heel of the sneaker with the fragment and the Travis Scott logo. Same thing exists on the insoles of the shoes. See, the one has the Nike branding and the other one says Cactus Jack. There's also the new Cactus Corporation logo at the top of the tongue that's nice and thick and rubberized, and then to top it all off, or to finish it all off, you get the Cactus Corporation branding on the outsole. Now let's talk about this Nike swoosh for a minute, because it's a really interesting material. As you can see, it's this kind of rubberized texture material, and what it kind of feels like is a bunch of little hoops that I guess have been sewn into the Nike swoosh itself. Definitely an interesting choice of material, but at the same time it gives so much more depth to this sneaker with all of the interesting textures and different design language. Now, all of this comes together with the traditional Air Max 1 midsole, or maybe not, because the Air Max unit is actually painted over on this pair of sneakers. Now, I kind of assumed from the images that they maybe just removed the Air Max unit, but it is there. You can squish it and you can definitely feel it. However, it is just painted over to be the same color as the midsole. Not entirely sure why they did this. I'm not entirely sure what it would look like with a clear Air unit, but honestly, I'm not too mad at that. I think it just kind of looks okay. It's neither here nor there for me. Now, on foot, obviously, these things do pretty much feel like any other Air Max sneaker. Again, with the material changes and everything, it does give it a little bit of a different feel, but for the most part, like any other Air Max 1. So, relatively comfy, nothing mind-blowing in terms of the comfort on this sneaker. And as for sizing, I actually went a half size down with these, because it was the only size I could get my hands on, but after trying them on, wearing them around a bit, I would actually recommend half sizing down. These things fit pretty perfect, and if I went with my true to size, I feel like I would have a little bit too much room in that toe box area, so just a suggestion, potentially half size down. Overall, I think this is a really solid Travis Scott collaboration. They actually did something really different with the design. You know, it's not just an Air Max 1 with some other colors slapped on there. Got interesting materials. We've got a callback to an old ACG sneaker, which I think is pretty awesome, and changes up the design of the Air Max just a little bit. So I'm a fan of this one. I'm also a fan of the trainers, but I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think of the Baroque brown colorway of the Travis Scott Air Max 1? Let me know down in the comment section, but of course that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through, hanging out. Thank you for liking, commenting, and of course subscribing. I'll catch you guys in the next one, but until then.